Let's talk about why so many people are ashamed of their sobriety, not their drinking, but their sobriety. I think it's such an important part of this journey not to be ashamed of either the things that you've done or ashamed of not drinking alcohol and explaining it to people and saying, well, I don't drink alcohol, and being proud of that, being proud of the fact that you no longer put a toxin into your body. For me, shame and regret, they're tools, and they're bloody useful tools as well. Even though we don't like them, we don't like to have shame or regret or any of those negative emotions in our life. They all have a purpose. They all have a use. So for me, the use of shame and regret when you're drinking is to get you to stop drinking alcohol, right? To move you towards that state where you're no longer comfortable even sitting there and contemplating having a drink, because you know where it's taking you. You know the things that have happened in your life because of that, and the shame and the guilt are coming out as a representation of that. Or later on, I think if you stop drinking alcohol and you're thinking about going back to the alcohol, then, you can start to think about the shame and the guilt of what you felt before. But, bloody hell, I look back at my own drinking life and there's a lot for me to be personally ashamed of. All the lies that I told just so that I could go drink it, or that I could drink more, or that I could excuse the amount that I drank, or I didn't have to tell how much I drank, right? But I'm a completely different man today because I made that one decision, because I stopped drinking alcohol. So you have to give somebody, even as soon as they made that decision, you have to give them kudos for even starting that journey, even starting to get onto that path. Because oftentimes it can be when you're putting pressure on somebody for the things that they've done while they were drinking, or you put pressure on yourself about the things that you've done while you were drinking. And that then impinges on your journey forwards. If you put enough pressure, enough anxiety on yourself, it can be a problem, right? So I think too many people are ashamed of stopping drinking alcohol after they've stopped. And that's what I'm talking about here. So what are you ashamed of? The fact that they stopped, or the fact that they drank at all. Break it down into manageable chunks. Look at where you're going, how you're going to get there. Look one step forwards, just look out to the horizon and that's it. Don't look any further than what you can realistically see. And as far as looking backwards is concerned, it's not doing you any good. Look back to learn. I think that's a great idea. Look back to figure out what it was that went wrong. Figure out why you drank alcohol in the first place. And look at if you still need to do those things, if you still need to escape or to relax, or, there's certain things that we all need to do, and figure out how you're going to do those things moving forwards. But regretting and being ashamed of the things that you've done in your past, if it stops you from going back to that state, then fair enough. But don't feel shame of yourself now, because anyone who's ever drank has got moments where they can feel ashamed of themselves. Some, much more than others. I mean, I know some people who have done some pretty awful things while they were drunk. So it is what it is. Leave the shame and the guilt behind you. You've made the decision to stop, and that's all you can do. Leave your past behind you in that sense and start moving forwards into bigger, better things. Take care. Onwards and upwards. Bye now.